built and puzzles that they have to, it's pretty hands-on. This time, one of the themes is kind of a old school, like James Bond, just evil villain. So he has his old computer rooms with his, 70s style, 60s styles, big old computers with all the buttons and, all that stuff that you saw back in the day. So basically what we're looking for is, I'm doing like the tech and the electronics part and building the props that most people, because that's what I've done. I used to work in the movie industry and haunted houses, and so I know how to build like, the animatronics and all the stuff like that. But we need like the bare bones built of like the computer stations that are about 4 foot long, 6 foot long, maybe like 4 or 5 feet high. They'll have I'm gonna put push buttons and switches and knobs and stuff, but I need like the holes, I guess CNC'd out or milled out, however, something like that. And then just the big bare bones put together. So we have other things that can be done too if you're more handy with different things other than wood. If you know how to do like, the tech side or electronics, that's fine too. But we're mainly looking for people that, your expertise, that could build a lot of the bare bones stuff. And then, then we could build it. You can build it at your shop. You can build it at our shop, or you can build it at the place. Of course, we're going to pay you. We'll give you all the details and designs. It's not something it has to be done. It's not full time. We have till the beginning of July, mid-July before it has to be done. And you do as much as you can, much as you want, and that's basically it. I do have drawings and stuff like that to show you, just kind of show you what I'm talking about. And I have some other stuff too that if you're more handy with, like I said, building other things other than what I was talking about. And these are examples. These are not the final drawings. This is, when you see these pictures, just imagine it being a lot less. Okay, this is showing you a lot more screens and buttons that we're actually going to have, but it just gives you an idea of kind of like old school, like consoles that have lots of buttons. I'm getting I've ordered all that stuff, and then just we're gonna have long sections, 4 or 6 feet long. So we're gonna put multiple screens and stuff in them, and that's something that would have to be built as well. But you kind of get the idea I'm talking about, the old school, computer stations and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're looking for that one room. And then, like I said, the size of the rooms are 15 by 16, so they're not huge. So we're not going to have a ton of these, but we'll probably have two a room, like one on one side, one on the other side. And like I said, I don't have the exact dimensions, but I'd like to have one at least 4 feet long, or 6 feet long, and then probably, about as tall as me, which is about 6 foot tall. So we can have taller ones too. I can put more electronics into that. That's not a problem. So we have some of these. I don't know if this is something that you guys do, but these are more like the prop building things. Like there's a Rubik's Cube puzzle that it's going to have RFID tags in it, and you're going to turn it and place it in certain RFID readers, and it's going to light up, and then it's going to unlock a mag lock that pops open and something. So that's kind of like a lot of props. Is anybody interested in stuff like that, or more of the construction of like the stations? That's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Could you let everybody know how to get a hold of you, and that way, if anybody's interested,
yeah, I can do that. I can give to you. It's 217-691-3596. I know Curtis has my information. My name's Nathan Millsball. And like I said, we're looking for anybody that's willing to help out, even if it's just a little bit, or just give me some knowledge of, because I know enough to get in trouble, and that's the problem. So I could build the bare bones, but making it look really nice and putting all the little holes exactly with the buttons, that's not, I want them to look really nice, and I'm not going to be able to do that. I'd rather someone knows what they're doing to do that part, and like way I can just go put stuff in I need to put in, and everybody's happy. It's kind of what I just need the support for that, so it makes it look really professional, really nice. I'd rather use local people than go out because it takes longer, costs more, and I'd rather use people that are here. So reaching out to you guys first. So we do have a company in Florida that is building one of the rooms for us 100%. They're shipping it and installing it, but they're really expensive. We couldn't afford to do 3 rooms like that, so we're building 2 rooms ourselves. So that's where anybody that's interested will come into that play. So any questions, or is that enough information?
And you said you're looking for July?
It's anywhere from end of June to end of July. We have the one room is being installed in the end of July, and that's, so we'll want to be open before that if we get one of the two other rooms done, but that would be like the longest would be the end of July, because that's when that room's getting installed and we'll be open at that point. So, like I said, you won't have to, and if you don't want to do, you just want to do one thing, that's fine. Anything that helps me out and you guys get to create something, get paid to do it, that's, you know, it's definitely not gonna like be something that's gonna be on your docket every day, you know, 8 hours a day. It's gonna be, this thing just needs to be done by a certain time in June, beginning of July. You just build it at your leisure. Yes?
Is your shop somewhere around close, or?
My shop's at my house. It's a nice shop, but
I didn't know if you had a business shop.
no, we have a building that is empty. It's 4,500 square feet. I'm gonna be building a bunch of stuff there, so you could go there. You bring your tools, or I have a bunch of tools, and you could build in that location. Or my shop, which is probably not conducive for woodworking as much as it is for other things, but, or, you know, you might have a place to build it. So I'm not requiring you to be at a certain place or a certain time to say, here it is, and we go over together, and I check on it, and we're good to go, and you get it to me. Sooner the better, but, you know, obviously I don't want, it's not something you have to get like tomorrow, something like that. So I'm trying to make it where there's a little time for you to work on a little bit of here and there, so.
So there's certain sections that you're going to build.
Yeah, and I'll have, if anyone's interested, I'll get the details for that. So, like, think you walk into a room, it's about 15 by 15, and I want like one of those computer consoles over here on the left and maybe one over there. So it'd be like 2 in that room and maybe 1 or 2 in the other room. So probably 4 all together, and different sizes. They don't have to all be the same height or the same, you know, width. So, and they're gonna look different. Each one's gonna have a puzzle on it, so I wanna have buttons or knobs or switches. And I want, you know, the cabinets, and I can even install that, but I can do it. Install the mag locks. Anyone used mag locks before? So they're gonna, the puzzle, when they complete the puzzle, it'll be triggered by a magnet or an RFID tag, and the drawer cabinet panel pops open. And we have all the mechanisms for that, and there's gonna be those speakers so it makes noise when it opens. And so that would be great if you could install the mag lock for me, because I'm gonna run all the buttons and the wires and everything together, and program everything. But, so like I said, build the skeleton, and I'll put the stuff in it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So we're stepping it up. I ran the escape room over here for 3 years. There was one in Springfield. A lot of people didn't know there was, but you know, and she closed it because of COVID, so we decided to open our own. So yeah. So if anybody's interested, please let me know as soon as possible, because we have to make a decision if we're going to go somewhere else or have people here help us out in the next 3 or 4 days. So feel free to call me anytime, and I can give you my information. I know Curtis has it, and not Dustin has it. So any questions you have, just let me know. So I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yep. It's fun. People all ages do it, so.
Yeah, it was you the ones over here on Front Lane,
Yeah.
by the fire station.
Yeah, it was us, yeah.
Yeah, we did it a couple times.
Yep. So I built the props and stuff for that one, but it was a smaller scale, lower budget one. This one's a bigger budget one and
Okay.
bigger scale. So we're trying to make it more exciting and more fun and cooler props, because a lot of props are those little locks, you know.
Yeah,
and
there's
trying to
some
move away,
basic stuff.
not have locks. It's more cool things pop open, hidden doors and stuff like that. So.
Okay.
If a person gets in there and can't figure out the clues to get out, and you let them go.
And we show them at the end of the time what they didn't get to do, and they
12
understand
hours,
it.
24 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, have a nice night. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yep.
Until they pay the ransom.
All right, so if you need his number after this meeting, I got it written here for you if you're interested. But like you said, he's trying to get this done pretty quick, so if you are interested, give him a call. I think I recognize pretty much every face here. I know some of you haven't been here for a while because of COVID. Welcome back. Those of you that haven't been here for a while, if you didn't know, our dues this year there are no dues this year if you've paid for last year. So if that's new information to you. And then I don't think we Les's wife's here as a guest, and I don't think we have any other guests, right? Everybody else is members. Everybody looks familiar to me. I've only been around about a year and a half, so right as COVID started. So I think I saw you all once, maybe twice, and then everybody was gone. So, First thing's treasurer's report.
We're doing pretty good. We're still at about $4,800. We did pay out about $150 for electrical things, but otherwise we're okay.
And the electrical things he's talking about are a couple of the gadgets you see here to make everything work to be able to see this live and then also record it. Any old business? I don't think there's any old business. We've had a meeting since our last open shop, so we've already talked about that. And I don't think there's any old business. New business? Have the open shop coming up in August with at the sawmill and the July picnic, correct? I think those are the two immediate things that are coming up that are there in the newsletter that were sent out. And then any questions about any of that? Anybody have any new business to discuss? And who all here has got something to present tonight? Because I don't have the list in front of me. Did you have something? Was it? No. I've got something, and then I think you do as well, and then so we're gonna get started. Yep.
I brought something for backup if we ran out of things.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to go over a website real quick. It's called, it's an optimizer website. It's where you can put in your dimensions and what materials you have, and it will pop out the best way to cut that to save as much material as possible. I use this. I built a 18-foot long miter station, and it saved me quite a bit of plywood. I was able to put in all my dimensions and cut it the way it told me to cut it. And instead of sitting there and trying to figure that out with pen and paper over time, it took me all of about 30 seconds for that to work. And then another way this will work is if you've got a whole bunch of scraps that are different sizes, different shapes, you can put those dimensions in and the dimensions of the pieces you need to cut, and it'll kind of place them on the pieces where it'll work best. So I'll go over that real quick. Sorry. Bring this up. So the website's name is Cut List Optimizer. They do have and of course it's not going to show the whole thing, is it? Never can be that easy. They do have a paid version, but that's good.
that's good.
So they do have a paid version, but you don't have to subscribe to it. The only big limitation you have by not paying for it is you can only hit this little green calculate button 10 times a day. So, you can, which is more than enough for a hobbyist, I think. So in this case, I needed to build some drawers, so I put in the different dimensions. I needed 24 that are 24 by 2.5 tall, 12 of this dimension, 12 of this dimension. I put some labels in there just to tell me what they are. And then this next piece is the grain direction. It allows you to change if grain direction is important. So on the sides of my drawers, I wanted the grain direction specific. So I could change it to go along the length of the plywood, or I could have went along the width. Or the star means you really don't care which way it goes. So pretty easy. And then down here you put your material. Piece of plywood, always put too much quantity because you can only hit that calculate button 10 times. So I threw in 10 knowing I wouldn't even need that. And the grain direction of plywood. And then when you hit calculate, it comes out with this, which kind of gives you kind of a rough idea. And then you can go and export that to PDF and print that out. And it prints out real nicely. It has, you can change the file name, hit OK. Generates, kicks it out. And when you open it up, it'll have 1 page per sheet. This is only 1 sheet of plywood. And then, it's hard to see. Where is there we go. Over here, if you wanted to follow how it tells you to cut, you could save as much material as possible. It tells you cut number 1, do this. Cut number 2, do this. Cut number 3, do this. That's not exactly how I use it. I just use it to tell me where to cut. So I would look at this and I would go ahead and cut the end off, and then it'd be manageable, and I could slide this through my table saw for the rest of these since they're all 2.5 wide. So, and then miter saw for each of the sides. But if I would have done this just real quick, I wouldn't have even done it that way. I would have ended up slicing these off and then having all this waste at the top. But this tells me, hey, I can save 1/3 of a sheet of plywood doing it this way. And then now if you have a spreadsheet with your dimensions already in it, you can export that as a CSV file. If you use spreadsheets, you probably know what that is. Or if you use CAD, you can export your bill of materials out of CAD into a spreadsheet, and it'll give you the dimensions of each of your pieces. And that's what I did when I built the miter station. And if I go in here, I can clear all these. And then it has an import CSV, and that's part of the free and of course it's not going to be here. That's part of the free site. You don't have to pay to have to import this, which makes it nice. And it is that one. Yep. Nope, that wasn't that one. Sorry. I just popped all that in there. That was the wrong file, so I didn't put in the right one. Clear that. Clear. Import from CSV. And then it is well, it was there. Apologize. This is the computer that I put it on. So I can't show, but anyway, when you import that, it will automatically come in here and insert all your quality widths, the quantity, the length, the width, the quantity, and the label for each of the pieces right out of it, just like it was typed in. And just showing you an example of something a little off. So if you had a bunch of pieces that were just odd size, like completely off the wall sizes. I guess I kind of did that wrong. That'd be more like 6. That'd be more like so if you had a bunch of odd sizes and
Now you're putting in your scrap pieces?
yeah, so down here I just put in some dimensions of scrap pieces of wood,
Yeah.
and I have one of each because they're just scrap sizes, and then some sizes of pieces I want to cut out of that. I can hit calculate and it'll tell me the best way to get the most out of that.
Wow. That's faster thinking.
So that's kind of what I wanted to show you with that import file, because that had 6 pages of stuff, but they were all pretty standard coming from a cabinet. And then I can continue to do 5 by 3, 1, 12 by 2. Not paying attention to what I'm doing. 8, 22 by 3. And I can hit that again. So the only time this won't come in handy is if the pieces that you have are that pretty much locked the computer up there, didn't it? So the only time this won't come in handy is if you have times where the grain direction of your wood is not standard on your length. But what you can do is, I don't know if you've ever done this before, is taken 2 pieces of cardboard and take your piece of wood, and the grain might be going diagonal. Just take that cardboard and turn it until you get what would be a square piece with the grain direction going in the direction you want. Measure that dimension, put that dimension in here, and then did that make sense? So you can still use this with irregular grain pattern. You just have to be a little creative. So like you see, you just hit calculate, and normally it's faster than that. It's the internet connection here that was kind of slow. Yeah.
Does it calculate blade width, or do you have to put that in there?
The what?
Blade width?
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. Right down here under options, you have the kerf thickness.
Okay.
So you can put your kerf in there, and it will calculate that kerf in between each piece. So yeah, when I was learning how to do this, I kept messing up on it. I didn't have that in there, and building 2-foot wide cabinets and not paying attention, and then yeah, it messed me up. So normally when I do it by hand, I automatically put that in there, but then when I was using this calculator, it didn't occur to me, oh, I need to tell it that, because I'm not physically, I'm not doing this myself. So go. So yeah, it's like I said, it does make it a lot quicker, and the big things is the grain direction. Like in this case, I told it that I wanted all the grain to go this way across these pieces. But as long as you pay attention to those little detail parts, it does go pretty quick.
Does it, excuse me, does it ask you grain direction on the long axis versus, how does it know which, I'm not seeing how.
So right here on each of your pieces of whether it's plywood or whether it's just lumber you're putting in there,
Okay.
you have this arrow. So right now it's saying the length of the piece, so the length. Or if you click that again, it will go this way, and it'll say, okay, that piece right there, the grain direction is with the width.
Okay.
And then up here, each piece, however you need that grain direction.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not intuitive. First time you use it, you go in there and you'll hit, calculate, and it'll look all wrong, and then you realize, oh, I forgot to put my blade width in there, or my grain direction is wrong. But once you start using it, like for the sides for those drawers, I knew exactly, the sides, I want that grain direction to go lengthwise. Everything else I didn't care about, clicked on it a few times, it came up, it was done. And then with the miter station that I did, it was 6 sheets of plywood, and actually it was 5.5 sheets for an 18-foot long miter station. And it told me exactly what cut to make which to maximize every piece of that. And got the table saw extensions out and just started sliding it through each direction, each way it told me to do it. And when I was done, was 68 pieces, I think it was, all done, cut the right dimension, and some of them I purposely overcut. This doesn't take the thinking out of woodworking. You still need to kind of think about things. So I knew that there were a couple that would be off because the floor might be off, the wall might be off. So I made notes on my file that I printed out saying, well, cut this long, and did change a little bit myself because it doesn't take that out. It's just like people think of computers as making a push button. It doesn't. You just have to think a different way. You have to apply your skills in a different way to utilize that tool. Just like CNC, a lot of people say CNC is not woodworking, but it's just a different way of doing things, and you have to apply your skills in a different way to make that work. And same here. So. Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. It looks wonderful, except that that's in an ideal situation, you'd be able to just get this set up and just run. Life has a way of intervening. I always have honey-do lists. system in there, or is there a way to input information? I got this much of this done, I have more of those to do.
So in that situation, you know, you saw my daughter in here earlier, that's,
Mhm.
you know, that,
You
Same thing.
understand about life and interrupting.
correct. So like for my project, I printed those pages out, and as I went, I was marking on them and saying, okay, I got this done, got this done, got this done. And then also, if you wanted to kind of lose your place and go somewhere else, this doesn't have to be full sheets of plywood. You can, if you have, you know, 4 or 5 pieces of plywood, a third of a sheet, a half a sheet, a bunch of scrap laying around, you can put all your scrap pieces in here, put all your dimensions for your project, and it'll tell you where to cut where on those scrap pieces to get what you need to get. So, and I've done that before on a smaller project, on a drill press table that I made. I had a bunch of scrap laying around. I put those different dimensions of scrap, and at the end, I had one piece that I needed to cut, and I didn't have enough scrap for it. But it told me the best way to get everything else on there. And then I rummaged around until I found another piece of scrap for that last little piece. So,
Okay,
That's usually assuming all the thicknesses are the same.
well, you can,
Is there a place to enter thicknesses?
there is, and I'll show you that. Okay, so up here, and I might have deleted it off mine because I don't use that, and now I can't get it back. When you first use this, it has the option for for thicknesses, and I don't use that. It's another column here for thickness. I was hoping I'd be able to. Add new line. Add new line. No, that added a line at the bottom. Sorry. Load list, save list, enable. And all that did was it changed the labels to the dimensions of each piece.
Well, that's all right, you don't have to find it, but I just wondered if it
Yes.
does have that capability.
It did, yes, and I didn't use that at, I don't know, I'm not seeing it. I think because you can get rid of these as needed, or you can move them around, or at least you should be able to. But I will find that and show that at another meeting, because I know it's in here.
That looks like the perfect situation for it, if you've got plywood, you need to make a cut list of pieces of plywood, that
Correct, it works.
would really be helpful.
It works really good with plywood. Here's those other options, the thickness.
Oh, I see.
You can put the labels, so on that just got rid of the labels on each of the ones. I love the labels because it tells me what's what when I'm trying to cut 30 or 40 pieces. Let's see, the consider material one, that's the one that's gonna consider the thickness of each thing. And then you can also, for edge banding. So on my miter station, I had 1/4-inch edge banding on the front. I used faceless, frameless cabinets. So I had the 1/4-inch edge banding that I cut and put on there. And then consider grain direction, on or off, which is these guys up here. So. And there's a lot of stuff if you want to upgrade, pay the yearly fee. I won't go over those because I'm not going to pay the fee. This does everything I need to do without paying it. And it does work for more than just plywood. But you have to be creative. You got to think outside the box, and you've got to measure what stock you've got and put it in there. So, any other questions?
Pretty neat.
All right. Who's next?
Go ahead. teenager. He needed a bigger bed. So we got rid of a twin bed, or they got rid of a twin bed, and we got him a double-sized mattress. Have any of you bought a mattress lately?
Yeah.
I mean, this thing, my wife ordered it. It came in a box about this tall, about less than 2 feet square, and that thing come out and poof, started expanding. I think it took about a day for it to fully expand. And if you had to return it, I don't know how you get it back in the box. But anyway, I took some, I've got some I've mentioned this probably before. I've got a bunch of honey locusts. And I wanted something that looked pretty rustic, and I found it. So I basically have 4 posts and just connected it across is what I did. So I don't have enough. This was a Christmas present for Christmas 19, and I didn't finish the bed until January of 20. So I'm a little late. But anyway, go ahead to the next one.
It's gonna go. There we go.
So I basically took and just cut it slots in here this is a footboard for it to fit in there. I bought these screws. I want them to show, and so I found these large black-headed screws in MasterCard and bought them. And of course, you can't see it here, but the screws actually go into. I use some of those wood inserts, threaded wood inserts. These are machine screws, not wood screws. Okay, so it could, if you had to, it could take it apart. This looks a little confusing over here. This is if you're laying in the bed, it would be the left foot. That's part of the backboard that you see there. So it's a little deceiving there, but anyway, that's what it is.
What are your posts? 3
Huh?
by 3, 4 by 4?
They are, I think they're about 2.5 square. I think,
And that
if I
board,
recall.
that board there, the vertical on it, what is it?
The
No,
foot on
no,
the
the other board.
Crossboard.
I'm gonna say this is probably 8 to 10 inches.
Okay.
Go ahead. Another view with some of my junk in the back. I was going to try to get some of this cut out ahead of time, but I wasn't able to do it.
So are the posts solid pieces or do you laminate them together?
They are solid pieces. And I don't show, I bought the hardware, that's the hook type for these sideboards here, where it could just, drop in and hook. Had to cut out the recesses in both of them and did that. And you see the other one, you're looking at the top of the right footboard post. And this wood is kind of a pinkish color to it. I think I brought a few pieces in before. And what I used on this was Watco dark walnut. Watco Danish oil dark walnut is what I
Makes
used on it.
nice color.
Yeah,
It really
Green
makes
is
green
fascinating.
stand out.
yeah. So go to the next one. There's the headboard. My original headboard, I started out, I had something that had knots in it and everything else. And it was too bent. So I had to go to plan B. But that's it. And this distance, that mattress just sets down into a pocket. I put a support running the length of the bed with a foot in there. And then this is just a couple pieces of plywood that set down in here. And this is maybe recessed down in there, maybe 2.5 inches. And then the mattress just sets on top of that.
used to mortise your boards into the corner post? How'd you cut your mortise out where the boards fits into it?
How do I cut it? I cut it, basically set up a dado cutter and cut it out on the table saw.
Oh, okay, yeah. Cross cut?
Yeah. And really, this board here is mainly, the mattress comes up to about here. And so it's basically to keep, I guess, anyone from falling through. So, go, you know, you can see this is the, this is the back, and you can see the ingrain of that back piece, the way it fits in. And of course, this is the piece that has that metal hardware that locks in place. Oh, this long line here had a crack. I filled it in with some dark walnut. What is it? I forget what brand it is. It was just a wood filler.
Oh,
But I figured I'm not going to try to hide something. I'm just going to emphasize it. So, and these are wormholes here that I just filled in with the same stuff. So, like I said, I want something that looks a little rough, and I had some rough lumber, so it worked. Is there another one? A little bit of distortion on the way it's looking at it, but you get an idea of what the whole bed looks like. I think these back posts are around 40 some odd inches. And the foot is maybe around 22, 24 inches, I want to say. So, that's it.
Nice.
Any questions?
Lights.
Lights. Very good.
How long did it take for you to build it, roughly?
3 years.
Just 3.5. I think I got started on it after Thanksgiving of 19 with the intent of having it done at Christmas. And I didn't work continuously on it, and you know how life catches up with you, as you say. And I didn't finish it till January of 20. So total hours, gosh, I don't know. I'd be taking a wild guess and probably be way off. So, yes.
I made a loft bed for my granddaughter this past winter, and I was wanting to ask you on the brackets that you used. I know you said you inset them. Were they 6-inch brackets or were they something different? I think most of them seem to be about that.
I think they were right around 6 inches, yeah,
Yeah.
with 2 hooks
Just two?
that,
Okay.
that hooked in. Yeah, I think they only had 2. Well, I wish I'd taken a photo of it too, but
Yeah. That's-
bed is being used and it won't be taken apart for a while.
could
I mean,
it
that
be
was a-
taken apart if he goes to college and wants to take his bed with him?
If he wants to, oh yeah, absolutely, he could. I made it very clear to his father that this is not a piece of furniture that stays in your house. This is his bed. It's his. And that's understood. It's his.
Sounds like it was a success.
One of those rare moments.
That's good.
Anything else?
Oh, good. Thank you.
All right. So I'll put this here and you can just tell me which one to blow up.
Start at the beginning, I guess, doesn't make much difference.
Let's see here. It didn't go bigger. Just here.
Yeah, go ahead and start on this, I guess.
Yeah. See if it,
Yeah, that's,
will it go?
that's.
Oh, you know what, it's, that's why I couldn't find yours earlier. It dropped into this folder right here.
Oh, okay,
That was his, presentation, that's why.
yeah.
I'm gonna have kind of a disjointed presentation.
I'm hitting the lights.
Because it's not gonna run in timeline, but, like most of you, 2020 was kind of a bad year for me. Started out in the end of January. My wife and I decided we were gonna take a Caribbean cruise. And so we left about the 29th of January of 20. And the cruise went from February 1st to the 8th. Well, somewhere along the line, we both caught the flu. And so I finished the cruise in relatively good shape. My wife did not. We had driven to Texas, southern Texas, to catch the boat, and we drove back home from there. She drove, I navigated. That was about as good as we could do, but at any rate, before 20 started, a neighbor's husband died, and he'd been a friend of the family for a long time, and so I told his wife that I would make her a flag case. And so I did that, and this is the flag case. It's made out of cherry, and it matches the box that she used for his ashes. And I scavenged some shells from, he was a veteran, and they gave him a salute, and I scavenged some of the shell casings and put those in that. There is, a friend of mine also makes these, and there's room back here for enough room to put the small box of ashes if the person wants to store them there. But the flag case actually lifts off of that if you want to take it off, and it's got a hanger on the back of it to hang on the wall. So anyway, that's the way 20 started out. Go ahead. Before we finished our cruise, we received a phone call on the ship from my daughter, my wife's daughter. Her husband had died. This was the Thursday or the Friday before we landed in Galveston. And we were both sick, so we couldn't go to the funeral. But I told my stepdaughter that I would make an urn for him, and this is the urn that I made. It's all walnut except for a band down here and a band up here, and that is koa wood. It's very similar to walnut, but it's got a little different grain and a little different color. But that's a segmented face, or whatever you want to call it, box, I guess, if you want to call it that, to contain urns. The top of it is bloodwood, and the finial is ebony. I got one more of it, the next one. That just shows the top of it. But not much of a gift, but she was pretty pleased with it anyway. My stepdaughter was. Okay, the next one. These are lampstands. My wife likes to go to places like Homescapes and some of the other nice stores that have fancy stuff. And she found 3 metal light stands ranging from 24 to 36 inches. And she really liked those, but they were like $350 for the 3 of them. And so she said, why don't you make some of those? So I did. I had gotten some really highly figured walnut from Ralph, and I cut that into 6-inch blocks. Those bases are 2 inches thick. And then I got some pretty straight grained walnut, full inch. Actually, it was 1.25 inches. And I ran a dado up through or cut it into 2-inch pieces. Ran a dado on the inside of 2 pieces and glued them together so that I had a channel. And I put them on the lathe and turned them. And stuck them in the bases and wired them up. And They look pretty cool. The bulbs that you see there are, I got those at Menards, and they're just kind of odds and ends, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. When you turn them on, they have little strings, little filaments of light in them. They're pretty cool, actually. So anyway, she was happy with that. We have a small eat-in kitchen that we couldn't find a table small enough to get chairs around. And this one's 30, is it 30? No, it's 40 inches, exactly 40 inches. 42 was too big, 36 was too small. You can't find a 40-inch table anywhere. So I made one, and it came out pretty well. It's solid maple, full inch. I turned the column, and I tried to turn the base, but hit that next picture. I think it'll show it. No, go back one. I don't think you can see it in here, but there's some darker colored wood in there that's lighter. And I didn't realize that when I put it together. When I put it on my lathe, it danced halfway across the shop. So I decided I would have to do something other than try to turn it. But anyway, I got the bottom round. I wasn't about to try to turn the top. What I did with it was make a piece for my router, and just cut a big circle with the router and then sanded it down. And it actually worked pretty good. It's solid. The doggone thing weighs about 50 pounds, so it's not light. But it was my first effort at making any kind of a table like that. It didn't turn out too bad, so I'm okay with it. Anyway, those were my COVID projects, some of them. I slept all of February, I worked all of March and April, because I couldn't go anywhere. All right, next one.
How thick is the top on that table?
Top's a full inch,
Full inch.
yeah. Yes,
How did you finish it? Because doesn't she have to wipe that off?
I use spray-on polyurethane, clear satin polyurethane spray-on. And I think it's probably got about 6 coats on it, just real light coats. And sanded lightly before the final coat.
Is that stained a little bit? It looks almost whitewashed.
There's no stain to it, it's just plain maple with the polyurethane on it.
Just in the picture.
So, and so far it's held up pretty well. It repels water and does okay for it. Okay, go to the next one. Some of you may know that I got into this thing with what's called the Turner Titan, Osage orange that was supposed to be the largest Osage orange tree in the state at the time. It's the one the tornado took down when it hit Jacksonville a couple years ago. And the tree was planted by a fellow by the name of Jonathan Baldwin Turner. He was a professor at Illinois College in the 1800s. Jonathan Baldwin Turner was a strong believer in hedge trees as a means of natural fencing and also as a means of protection from wind. And his ideas, he was probably dead at the time, but his ideas were what Roosevelt adopted in his public works project to plant hedge trees to stop the dust from the Dust Bowl. And it worked quite well. But anyway, I got a bunch of wood from that tree, and they wanted me to make some things out of it for the college to commemorate Jonathan Baldwin Turner. So those are some pins that I made specifically for the agricultural class. They were given to graduates of 2020. Okay, next one. They also wanted a couple of gavels. I made 3 gavels. Next one.
That edge also?
I'm sorry?
Was that hedge also?
It's all, yeah, it's all Osage orange there. And then this is the gavel box. This is Osage orange. The box itself is from an oak tree that had, they'd cut down on the campus of Illinois College several years ago. And they had some of that oak. And they gave me some of that to make the box out of. So that's a storage box for the gavel.
Is that printed or burned?
My wife's nephew has a print shop called Star Graphics, and he's got a laser, got a big laser. And those pins that you saw, as well as this, was he put those on there with the laser, turned them on. So, okay.
That's it. That's the last one?
That's it. Well, since these pictures were taken, I've been working on, when I was first contacted with this Turner Titan project, they wanted a bench and 3 gavels. Since that time, I have made 42 pins, 52 business card holders, 26 walking sticks, several odds and ends and this and that and the other, and I still haven't got the bench done. It's almost done. The pieces are almost cut out. So anyway, all of this was done when I was confined to the house because of COVID. So 20 was a rotten year, but at least I got something accomplished. Any questions?
Did you know Earl Cully?
No, I don't.
He was a member, and he had an arboretum southish of Jacksonville, but he used to be a member, and he had somewhat of an arboretum, or at least there was a place somewhere on campus, Illinois College campus, that he and some students maintained. That's been many years ago.
Okay. Well, they've got, the arborist that works with them now is called Guy, his name's Guy Sternberg.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got an arboretum out north of Salisbury.
Yeah, Starkville Forest.
Yeah, he's the guy that got me involved in this mess.
Earl
I'm sorry.
Colby is famous for the first one who found and propagated the river birch, which is the most popular sold tree in nurseries today.
Yeah.
And he found it over close to St. Louis, and then started propagating it, and he patented it, and then sold it all over. I'm sorry, because he came to me one time and asked if I would help finance the publicity for it, and I turned him down, and within several years, he had made several $1 million selling the trees and the patent. He had a wonderful nursery over there, and was very prominent in that area.
Missed opportunities.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have probably more of a question, comment. I have some property that I'm growing, I've got a nursery setting and I'm growing trees. I'm cutting out a lot of the honey locust and hedge that is growing there. And the previous owner, we've had the property probably 15 plus years. And there's some hedge limbs and stuff laying around that's probably 50 years old or more. They've turned black on the outside. And when you cut into it with a saw,
They're bright yellow.
well, no, this is almost like a deep burnt orange color.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I've cut a lot of hedge. I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Fresh cut hedge looks like that, what you
Yeah.
showed. But boy, the real old stuff has got a deep burnt
Yeah.
orange color to it. If I think of sometime, maybe another meeting, I'll bring in a chunk of it.
Yeah. Well, most of my stuff
I have
is
found
just
some
as yellow as
roots
it can
from
be.
hedge, which almost turns dark towards the purple. That's been underground, and I've carved that several times. It's really very, of course, it'll ruin your chisels and everything. It is so
Extremely
hard,
hard.
but it is a darker, beautiful wood. It doesn't look like the wood
that I've been working on, I found some red streaks in it. And it's
Yeah.
pretty, but all of the stuff that I've got is when you cut it, it's bright, bright yellow.
Yeah.
But it'll age out to a gold color. It'll turn to a gold color.
Oh, yeah,
As
yeah.
it ages, yeah.
As it ages. That's, they wanted, Illinois College would like to keep it yellow for as long as possible. I think what I'm gonna use is, spar urethane with, UV protector in it, and we'll see how that works.
But it'll still.
It'll still turn,
Yeah. So will mulberries.
yeah.
Grow yellow and it turns gold too, just from
Yeah.
the light exposure. But it's a pretty color, so
Yeah.
I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if you can keep it yellow for
I
how
doubt
long.
it. I know I can.
But any clear finish, you know, it gets.
Yeah. Now, some of the stuff that I've had some of that in my shop now for, probably 8 months, 6, 8 months, maybe a little longer. And just even in the shop, protected from UV light, it's darkened some since I put it in there. But boy, once you cut it, it goes right back to yellow. So, any other questions? All righty, thanks.
Well, any wood you decide to work with after that will be like this.
It's like,
Yeah,
really
really.
after peanut butter.
Yeah.
Did they give it to you in, planks? Was it cut up like, what thicknesses was it?
Yeah, Dale Jeffers cut it up for him. He's got a sawmill out north of Springfield. Most of the stuff was inch.
Did it work bad? Was it worked really bad?
It didn't work too bad, but it sure was split. And that tree was rotten. I've had to pick and choose and cut and glue to try to get some decent looking pieces out of it for that one bench. They want a second bench. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough for it or not. I really don't. It's awful.
Yeah.
So we got should he show and tell? Yeah. No. Norm, you got show and tell your plants or? Yeah, you got any show and tell?
I forgot my hearing aids
Oh.
again, but tomatoes are, for sale, $1 a piece.
Any items for sale? Anybody got anything at home they're trying to get rid of?
I have something I don't know how to get rid of, if anybody, have you ever heard of a post drill?
A post.
A post drill. It's pre-1908 a little bit. But I think they strapped it to a post and you crank it
Post
and it advances on its own and drills holes.
Like a
No,
post hole
it's
thing.
got a little, it's a drill press.
Oh,
It's a
Predates
post
drill
drill
presses.
press.
Yeah.
wow.
Got a
Predate-
flywheel on it,
Yeah, it predates the modern drill presses.
yeah.
You have a photo of it by any chance?
Actually, I think I do. I got this out of my father's garage when he died and it was froze up. And I broke it loose and it works great. But I have absolutely no use for it. So, I thought about one of these antique places or something, not an antique store, but like a Clayville or something like that. I don't know what to do with it and it's in my way, so.
I'd like to
You
find
got
a
that.
Stanley number 8 if there is anyone that has one, wood plane. I've got the 6 and the 7, I think there is another
How,
number 8.
how long is it?
The longest one.
Like,
Single
talking
wide.
nice
Yeah.
Okay.
I would buy it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Where's that at?
I'll get you the number.
yeah, just remember.
I wonder if Sangamon Reclaim would have any interest in that tool.
Yeah, they use modern stuff.
I originally.
Well, you know, not to use it for their work, but just part of their theme, you know.
Display.
Yeah,
I just didn't wanna throw it away,
right.
you know?
Sorry.
I would think Clayville might be
That's the
interested,
Barbie birthday
or
cake.
even New Salem.
I
maybe.
was ready to say-
Before it got frosted.
Would use that kind of.
I tried New Salem and it's the wrong age.
Is it?
In fact, it's too new, I think, for
Oh,
them.
okay.
Oh, that's
Too
funny
new for
because
New
Don't
Salem.
they want like 1860s?
What?
Probably.
Yeah,
For Salem
yeah,
County
Lincoln's
Historical
time.
Right.
You know,
1840s, 30s, 40s.
Is it listed under
You
the
got
fellow
rid
that
of
ran it?
No, wait a minute.
Leon, did you say you still had that saw you wanted to sell?
Do I have?
Yeah, you said you still had that other
I
saw?
still have a brand new, it's a, help me,
So,
Skill saw.
skill saw, yeah, it's a skill saw, brand new in the box never been opened. It's a portable. But, I sold one to this gentleman, and, still have one more.
Anybody else?
Dave, do you know about a time?
no,
No.
I was just saying.
Anybody have anything else at all? You wanna talk about, anything you wanna show? Yep. So next month's meeting is on a Wednesday, first Wednesday of the month. If there's anybody that has something they'd like to present next month, whether you're on the list or not, just let us know. If you have pictures and you want them into a PowerPoint and you need assistance doing that, let me know. I have no problem helping you out with that, getting that on here for you. And, but yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out if you have something, need pictures or something you wanna bring in or anything like that. Well, yes.
I'm going, next week I'm over at the Mark Adams School doing a, entryway cable course with Michael Fortune, so I can bring stuff from that for the next month.
Okay. And if you wanna email that to me ahead of time, I'll have it on the computer. Next meeting, I won't be here, but I can have it, your PowerPoint and everything on the computer ready to go,
Okay.
for the meeting. And that way, all they gotta do is click on it and open it up.
Yeah.
If you wanna do that. So. And then, so next month's meeting won't be live, it'll be recorded, and then I'll upload it when I get back from vacation, so, sort of vacation. So,
Any, word on Curtis?
no, I haven't,
Anybody talk to him?
I haven't talked to him since then, so, but, yeah, I think we got one person online, I'm sure that's him right now. So, any other questions? Oh, okay, well, we still have about a half an hour left before they close here, so you don't have to rush off, you can hang around and talk, and catch up. I know it's been a while since a lot of you have seen a lot of you, so.
I found a video of that drill. I